Hey everybody, welcome back to WOD TV. Lucas Parker here with Cam Burtwell. We are just a few weeks out from the CrossFit Open, so we're going to go over how to get the most you can out of your training in these next few weeks to give yourself the best possible fighting chance when 15.1 rolls around.
Yeah, a lot of people seem to believe that with only about 3.5 weeks to go, there's really no fitness gains to be had. And definitely, your base fitness and 90% of it is built at this point, but you can peak certain things and you can do certain things very wrong and also things very right that can prepare you properly for the CrossFit Open. So today we're going to talk about what you should be doing for strength and lifting work, what you should be covering in terms of metcons, and also some pitfalls that you should avoid. So we're going to get Lucas to start with talking a little bit about the lifting stuff you should be doing from now until the Open.
Thanks, Cam. So the general idea is that we're going to want to put a lot less emphasis on sort of the classical strict strength movements like back squats and strict pressing. We're also going to want to shy away from really trying to bump up our 1 rep maxes for the snatch and clean and jerk. We're going to want to focus more on sort of applied strength movement across moderate reps. So things like being able to cycle, decently heavy deadlifts and thrusters, being able to do some, touch and go clean and jerks and snatches. And in terms of general rep range, anything from sort of 3 to 8 to maybe 12 is going to give you a good strength stimulus that's going to be applicable to the CrossFit Open. And once we start getting up above that, then we're starting to get into sort of more conditioning work. So can you maybe dive into some of that idea?
Yeah, so there are kind of two ends of the spectrum we want to work leading into the Open. So we want to spend some time working at race pace with short workouts, and we also want to spend some time in the aerobic side of things by doing some longer every minute on the minute circuits. So maybe you want to discuss some of those shorter circuits and how those work.
That's right. This is something that you've been having me do a lot of, sort of leading up to the Open, leading up to the beginning of the season. Basically, looking at doing usually a workout 4 times to really push the speed of the workout, somewhere in the range of 3 to 6 minutes, then resting for around 10 plus minutes, and doing a repeat of that time domain. What you can do to get the most out of that is you can have, let's say that first race pace chunk will be 2 or 3 movements, and then the second race pace chunk will be a different set of movements or a different rep scheme or something like that to sort of add the variety to your training, but still keep things really short and sharp.
And with that, you're kind of really building in refinement of your ability to work fast, work on your transitions, and you're developing this kind of good habit of going quickly through movements. So it's a really good little series of things to do, and you can put 3 of those workouts together and get an accumulated time that's equivalent to, say, a mid-length open workout, but you're working at a much higher intensity.
That's right. Speaking of intensity, what if we want to dial things back a little bit and go for an aerobic stimulus? Do I want to go out for a jog or sit on the Airdyne for 20 minutes?
Well, you definitely could do that. It's probably not going to help that much for the Open. So what we've been doing in the last little while is having these extended every minute on the minute circuits. And so choosing anywhere from 5 to 7 skills and every minute switching between those. So you're getting these bursts of activity followed by this really long kind of aerobic stimulus. So if we've got 6 movements in there and we go through 6 times, it's going to be a 36-minute workout. So you're getting 36 minutes of aerobic and kind of energy system work while also focusing on cycling some reps.
And this is not your typical sort of Rich Froning imam where he's doing 5 heavy snatches every single minute. This is something where we're mixing up a variety of skills. So there might be some touch and go barbell reps. There's going to be some cyclical gymnastics reps. Maybe you're working on your butterflies. Maybe you're working on your handstand push-ups. You might even do an isolated core movement, like a 1 minute would be dedicated to hollow rocks. And then you might throw in something like row calories, because we know that the erg showed up last year in the Open. So the key to these is variety, so that we're not going into past that threshold on any one movement, but then we're able to really grind it out for that whole 36 minutes with very quick cycle times on a good variety of skills.
Yeah, and we've found they're really effective, and people actually enjoy rotating through and practicing these different skills, because skills are what allow you to express your fitness fully, especially in CrossFit, right? You're expressing your aerobic and your strength and all that sort of stuff.
Now, what's going to stop us from expressing our fitness fully? What are some of the pitfalls to watch out for?
Well, what we typically see is a lot of people repeating previous year's watts.
Seems like a good idea.
It could be a good idea as long as it goes well. But the only issue, there's a few issues with this. First of all, if you're kind of doing an open WOD every week leading up to the open, let's say you're doing 4 weeks of open WODs, then you're unnecessarily extending the actual open by 4 weeks, right? Which we already know the open is psychologically and physiologically demanding. So adding that extra stress on top really may not be the best choice in terms of your preparation.
That's right. Yeah, that's a very good point. I think a lot of people want to have that confirmation going into the open that they made an improvement in last year's score, so they know, okay, yes, I'm a lot fitter now going forward. But like you said, fitness is a constantly changing continuum. The test of fitness that CrossFit puts forward is different every year. So the way you've been training all year might result in a lower score on a workout from last year or the year before. And that can be really upsetting, the week before your competition begins. So something to watch out for there.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, what's worse, like preparing yourself for the open so you're ready to go on day one, or having a bad repeated workout in week 3 and then freaking out and trying to, fill in the space. And, filling in the space up to the open is also a mistake. We talked about cramming for the exam, so to speak. So you want to talk about that a bit more?
Yeah, when I was in university, I found that I could get away with improving my exam results by cramming the night before. But you can't really do that with fitness. This is something I talk about a lot in my seminars and stuff, is that the training for the open, it can't sort of happen in the days and hours and night before, right? It's something where if you know that you suck at something, like say double unders and muscle ups, those need to be addressed as soon as possible before the open. And with this idea of cramming, that can give you a bit of a psychological relief and say, oh, I practiced all these skills the week before, I did a whole bunch of hard workouts the week before, but that's going to set you up for fatigue, injury, and lower scores over the 5-week span of the open if you're going into things not very fresh.
Yeah, so there you go, guys. Just definitely a few things to think about leading into the open. You can't make these large changes, right? And you shouldn't be trying to make these large sort of cramming for the exam changes, but you can sort of set yourself up without burning yourself out if you follow these tips that we provide today.
That's right. So thanks for watching. Stay tuned for a few more videos before the open kicks off. We're going to talk about some nutritional strategies you can use, some recovery tactics to really help you stay at the top of your game over the course of the CrossFit Open.